Om Shri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Really, we Indians are fortunate to have lots of pilgrimage centers, especially in southern India. When you come over to South India, there are innumerable temples, ancient temple, historical temple. Each and every temple have its own magnanimity, its own incredible greatness. Each and every temple has its own glory. When you come over to South India, the kings of Pallavas, Pandya, Chola, Chera, they were very much interested in spirituality and constructing temples, and also they are very much fond of architecture, art and architecture. Wherever you can go in Tamil Nadu, there are so many temples. They all were built under the guidance of popular and famous and extraordinary architects. The sculptures were very, very beautiful. You cannot see such a beautiful art and architecture which vibrates our body. If you go to Rameshwaram, you cannot describe the feelings which come from heart. If you go for Brihadishwara temple, what a beautiful construction we can find, constructed by the Chola kings. So like this, so many. If you come to Srirangam, Asia's the biggest temple. Okay, like this, we have famous Ranganathaswamy Temple, which is Srirangam. Like that, there are 5 Ranganatha temples. That is called Pancharanga Kshetrams. That means 5 Ranganatha temples. All the 5 Ranganatha temples were built at the bank of Kaveri River. There is a kind of attachment between these temples and Kaveri River. These 5 temples are called Pancharanga Kshetrams. Each and every Ranganatha temple has its own glory, its own history, and its magnanimity cannot be described. Only if you go there, we can get the inner feelings. We cannot describe as it is. Each and everyone has his own feelings after seeing these 5 temples. Every temple has its own greatness. If you go to Srirangam in Tiruchi district, if you go Melkote, if you go Srirangapatna, wherever you go these 5 Sri Ranganatha temples, you will feel a kind of happiness. There will be bodily vibrations can be experienced if you devote deeply. Only just like a visitor visiting, you can't get such a feeling. If we are very much interested, then you can get. If you go Srirangam, you can enjoy the construction of the architects and their great workmanship in each and every tower. All gopurams are attractive. The temple is so vast in place. All the idols of sanctum, sanctorum, whatever it may be, all in 5 Ranganatha Kshetra appears to attract us. It looks like direct God is there. Such a feeling we can get when we take darshan of Sri Ranganatha. It cannot be described. You have to go directly and take darshan of Lord Ranganatha and get your feelings and share with others. Now, basing on that, today I took the topic of Pancharanga Kshetrams. Prayer. Shri Rama Rama Rameti Rame Rame Manorame Sahasranama Tattulyam Ramanama Varanane. Pancharanga Kshetrams are Pancharangams, means 5 Rangams or 5 Ranganathas. Is a group of 5 sacred Hindu temples dedicated to Ranganathaswamy, a form of the god Vishnu, on the banks of Kaveri River. The 5 Pancharangam Kshetrams, in order of their successive location, especially on the banks of the Kaveri River. The Srirangapatna called Adi Ranga, the first temple on the banks of Kaveri River from the upstream side. The Srirangam island in Tiruchanappalli in Tamil Nadu, known as Kasturi Rangan or Adya Rangam, means the last temple. Appala Rangam or Koviladi at Tiruperunagar in Tamil Nadu. Parimala Ranganatha Perumal Temple at Tirunandalur in Mayiladurai or Mayuram, and Vatarangam near Sirgari, also listed as Sri Ranganatha Perumal Temple, Vaderangam, Tamil Nadu. Sri Sarangapani Temple at Kumbakonam is mentioned in place of Vatarangam in some references. Sri Ranganatha Temple, Srirangapatna, Karnataka state. Let us go through it. The temple of Sri Ranganatha in Srirangapatna, also known as Adi Ranga. The temple is located on the banks of the Kaveri River in Srirangapatna, Karnataka. This temple originally built in 819 BC by Tirumalaya of the Ganga dynasty, and legend accounts its founding to sage Gautama. The temple was expanded by the Hoysala kings in the 11th century AD and subsequently by Vijayanagara kings. Ranganatha, presiding deity of this temple, was honored by the Muslim ruler Tipu Sultan. Let us find out the history. According to Archaeological Survey of India, the temple is one of the considerable antiquity. An inscription at the temple reveals it was first consecrated in 984 AD by a local chief called Tirumalaya, a vassal of the Western Ganga dynasty. In the early 12th century, Hoysala king Vishnuvardhana granted the village of Srirangapatnam to Vaishnava Saint Ramanujacharya as an agraharam. The tower over the entrance bears features consistent with Vijayanagara architecture. According to historian George Michael, contributions were also made by the Wadayar kings of the kingdom of Mysore. The temple was not destroyed by the Marathis as claimed because they were strong Hindu supporters. The temple is just 400 meters away from Tippu Palace. The temple is protected by the ASI as a monument of national importance. The Ranganatha temples in South India, built during the 9th and 10th centuries, have a systematic arrangement of subsidiary deities as seen in this temple, along with the Appakudattan Perumal Koil at Kovilpadi, Saumya Narayana temple at Tiruvul, and Rajagopalaswamy Temple at Mannargudi. In the sanctum, the image of Lord Vishnu reclines on the coils of snake Adisheshu under a canopy formed by the snake's seven hoods, with his consort Lakshmi at his feet, flanking Vishnu or other deities from Hindu pantheon, Sridevi, Bhudevi, and Brahma. There are other smaller shrines within the complex dedicated to Narasimha Swami, an avatar of Vishnu, Gopala Krishna Swami, Srinivasa, manifestation of Vishnu, Hanuman, Garuda, and the Alvar saints. The three sacred sites for Smarta, Babur, Kamma, Sri Vaishnava sects of South India, both Adi Shankara and Ramanujacharya has visited and glorified the deities in their hymns. The following temples are considered the five sacred sites of worship of God Ranganatha and are together called Pancharanga Kshetrams. Ranganathaswamy Temple, a beautifully carved temple complex, is located in Srirangapatna in the southwestern state of Karnataka in India. The temple is dedicated to Lord Ranganatha, who is an avatar of Lord Vishnu in Hindu religion. Do take a minute to notice the beautiful carvings at the entrance gopuram of the temple. The ghats of the river are frequented for taking a dip before entering the holy temple complex. In Hinduism, the Sriranganathaswamy Temple in Srirangapatna is considered as one of the five most important and sacred shrines devoted to Lord Vishnu. These sites are called Pancharanga Kshetrams and are very high religious importance. The preceding deity is this temple Adi Ranga or the first Ranga. The temple has a rich history associated with it and is visited by devotees from all over the world. It comes under the Archaeological Survey of India. The idol of Lord Ranganatha is seen in reclining posture over the Seshanaga. An inscription in the temple premises indicates that the shrine was first sanctified around 984 AD. Innumerable architectural intricacies make the Sriranganathaswamy Temple an enthralling architectural marvel and must be included on our list of places to visit. Now, history of Sriranganathaswamy Temple. As per one of the inscriptions, which are the oldest inscription on the temple complex, the Sriranganathaswamy Temple was sanctified in 984 AD by Tirumalaya, who belonged to the Western Ganga dynasty. Over a period, the region was ruled by numerous dynasties. Traces of these regimes can be seen in the architecture of the temple complex. The king of Hoysala, Vishnuvardhana, allowed a Vaishnava saint named Ramanujacharya in the 12th century to use Srirangapatnam as a place of learning, Agraharam. Around 1210 AD, King Veerabhallala II of Hoysala dynasty made some additions and renovations to this complex. These have been documented in various inscriptions. On the structure also possesses intricate carvings signifying architecture of Vijayanagara dynasty and the Mysore king Wadayar kings. Architecture of Sriranganathaswamy Temple. The entrance on the temple has a striking tower and two huge prakarams which is a very typical structure in Hindu architecture that forms the outer part of the temple around the sanctum. There is a mandapa lined by numerous intricately carved pillars that lead to the main shrine. The temple complex also consists of two more halls, one of which is the Mukhamandapa, the front hall, and a Sukhanasi source. The Mukhamandapa is adorned with intricately carved miniature shikaras, mean towers, that look like a garland. These miniature towers have fine structural work images of Lord Vishnu. The main shrine possesses the divine idol of Lord Vishnu resting or reclining on the coils of the Adisesha Nag with its seven hoods canopying the Lord's idol. Goddess Lakshmi is seen at his feet, while idols of some other deities are seen around the idol of Lord Vishnu. There are also some smaller shrines inside the temple complex that are dedicated to Srinivasa, Gopala, Krishna, Narasimha, Garuda, and Hanuman. A Nayak ruler who ruled over Srirangapatnam built the fort there and also expanded the Sriranganath temple complex with the treasures he found there. His descendants ruled until 1495 when Srirangapatna was taken over by Vijayanagara Empire. One of the largest temples in Karnataka, it was built in 3 stages. The innermost part of the temple is said to date back to the Hoysala period. The Gopuram was built in the Vijayanagara architectural style and has 6 stories colorfully plastered and adorned with idols, and the main island is called the Pancharanga Kshetrams. The temple is 16 kilometers from the Mysore city in the town of Srirangapatna, which is named after the deity Sri Ranganatha in the temple. Fair is held at the temple premises in the month of Pausha, December or January. Now, Sriranganathaswamy Temple, Srirangam. Second one, Rajagopuram. Sriranganathaswamy Temple is located on the eastern shores of the Srirangam, Adya Ranga island, which appears like a conch shape, Shankam. One of the adornments in Vishnu's hand. In this temple, Ranganatha in a reclining position resting on the bed of Sesha, Adisesha, and is seen with his consort Ranganayaki. There are many legends connected with the founding of the temple, but the most narrated one is that the creator god Brahma was involved in doing tapas, in meditation here, when the central icon of Ranganatha emerged from the cosmic Milky Ocean in a celestial flying craft. Brahma then took this image to his abode, Satyaloka, in the heavens, where he offered daily puja. This was then brought to Ayodhya by the king Ikshvaku after several hundred years of penance and was passed down over a generation to Ikshvaku's descendant Rama, an avatar of Lord Vishnu himself and hero of the epic Ramayana. Rama then presented it to Vibhishana, was taking the image of Lanka, now we can say modern day Sri Lanka. He stopped and en route on the banks of the Kaveri to bathe at Srirangam. and thereafter the deity wished to dwell there itself. And since then, it is under continuous worship at this location. Since Vibhishana was very forlorn by the decision of the Lord, Ranganatha faces south towards Lanka to placate Vibhishana. One more legend mentioned is that river goddess Kaveri requested Ranganatha to reside at Srirangam. The temple is also known for the legend of Andal, Goda Devi, a female Alvar saint of Sri Vaishnava sect. She got married symbolically to the Ranganatha icon, Lord Vishnu, as per her deep desire. The marriage took place in the sanctum sanctorum of the temple when Andal, said to be an incarnation of goddess Lakshmi, merged with the image and became a part of Ranganatha. Another incident related to the deity of this temple is of a Vaishnava saint who Vipranarayana, who lived in the 7th century and composed hymns in praise of Lord Ranganatha. He was born in a village called Tirumandangudi on the banks of the Kaveri River and was a staunch devotee of Lord Ranganatha of Srirangam. He came to live in Srirangam and used to make garlands for the deity Ranganathaswamy. However, he fell in love with a Devadasi and he took to wrong deeds. Finally, Lord Ranganatha came to his rescue and then he was given the name of Tondaradipadi Alvar. The temple location is an island formed by the Kaveri River and the stream Kallidam joining it to bifurcate it and again joining a few miles downstream of the island. The corridors and pillars are huge and elegantly carved. Red and grey granite and sienite have been used in pavements, stairways, and lower part of walls. The space between the walls of the temple complex has a well-planned complete city of Srirangam with roads and houses. It is stated to be the largest temple in South India. Thus, Srirangam attained famous temple in India. Now we are going Sri Appakudattan Perumal Temple. Sri Appakudattan Perumal Temple, also called as Tirupar Nagar, is located on the banks of the Kaveri River, 3 miles away from Kollidam. It is one of the 108 Divya Desham of Vaishnavites and also one of the Pancharanga Kshetrams. The main deity in the sanctum is Lord Ranganatha, in the same reclining position and considered Adi, meaning forerunner, to the Sriranganathaswamy Temple at Srirangam. The temple tower is in the shape of Indra's Vimana, also seen in the precincts of the temple is the shrine of Lord Varikatti Vinayaka or Lord Ganesha. According to the legend of the place, King Upamanyu and Parasara Rishi saw the Lord Appakudattan here, and King Upamanyu is stated to have offered appam, a kind of sweet pancake, as a food offering to the god, and hence the Lord got his name as Appakudattan. Indra's pride was destroyed by this god and also removed the fear of death from the mind of Markandeya Rishi, and also King Upari Siravasu was blessed free from the sins and curses. Saint Periyalvar sang the Mangala Shashanam, a hymn in praise of the Lord in front of the god before he attained moksha. Now, Srirangapatna Temple. Srirangapatna Temple on the banks of the Kaveri River at Kumbakonam is one of the 108 Divya Deshams and is also one of the 5 Pancharanga Kshetra temple. Its location is in Tanjavur district of Tamil Nadu, India, about 1.5 miles from Kumbakonam railway station. The deity in the temple is Srirangapatna, an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. According to a legend, when Saint Hamarishi did penance, Vishnu appeared to him from heavens driving a chariot drawn by 4 horses and elephants. The temple depicts this scene in the sanctum sanctorum, and the chariot opens out on either side. According to this legend, the hermitage of the Rishi became Potramarai tank of the temple. Now, 5th one, Parimala Ranganatha Perumal Temple. The Parimala Ranganatha Perumal Temple is also one of the 108 Divya Deshams. It is located on the same banks of Kaveri River in Mayiladurai in Tamil Nadu. The legend on the temple is related to a pious bandit turned Alvar Saint Parakala, known for his devotion to Ranganatha. Lord Vishnu transformed him by teaching the Narayana mantra or Ashtakshari. Om Namo Narayana, turning the robber into a saint, who then starts singing the first verse of Periya Tirumayi. Then Lord Ranganatha agrees to permanently reside in his town Tirunagari as Parimala Perumal, and Parakala built a temple for him and remained there permanently, offering prayers to the god. The temple town is now known as Tiruyandalur in Mayiladurai or Mayuram Taluk of Nagapattinam district in Tamil Nadu. The practice of playing Nadaswaram at temples, though in vogue for centuries, did not have any Sahityan or music-based literature or lyrics to go with it. Then a beginning was made by renowned musician who composed a rakti, a musical composition with 2 to 8 notes according to their skills, and then played it in Parimala Ranganatha temple. Thereafter, it became a popular rendition in Nadaswara. The Rakti played in the Parimala Ranganatha temple at Tiruvayandur was made famous by Tiruvayandur Subramanya Pillai, Kurayanadu Natesha Pillai, who were among the reputed Rakti players of an earlier generation. Sri Radhakrishna Pillai was also a well-known player of this instrument in recent times. Last, Sri Ranganatha Perumal Temple, Vadarangam. The last place in this list is known as Vadarangam, as it is situated north of all these places, or as Vadarangam. Vadakku in Tamil is called north. கிழக்கு வடக்கு தெற்கு வடக்கு. Vatarangam as a temple was once located in the forest of banyan tree. Vatavraksham, banyan tree. Though there are not many banyan trees in the area today, the single tree found near the temple lends credence to this view. There is also an ancient Shiva temple, Jambukeshwara, here. This place is considered to be as holy as Srirangam, as the temples of Lord Ranganatha and Jambukeshwara are situated close to each other. However, both the temples are in a highly dilapidated condition now due to the ravages of nature and the fury of the floods in the Kollidam. The river was once flowing near the temples after taking a turn towards the north, Uttaravahini. Likely since then, the temple at Kumbakonam has become a more popular Pancharanga Sthalam. This place was known as Punnagavana Kshetram in the Satya Yuga, the Tulasi Vanam in the Treta Yuga, Vakularanyam in the Dwapara Yuga, and Vataranyam in Kali Yuga. There are many legends associated with this temple. Lord Ranganatha's Moolavar idol is very small when compared with those in other places, and hence it is known as Balarangam. Thus, we can visit these 5 Pancharanga Kshetram. Om Shri Kantaya Kalyananidhe Nidedram Shri Venkatnivasaya Srinivasaya Mangalam Mangalasasana Prayarmadacharya Progamaihi Sarvaisha Purvairacharya Satkritaya Stu Mangalam.